Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Jim Henderson, and welcome to our Friday Fundamental on kitchen design within SoftPlan. You should be able to see the screen at this stage, which I actually have two soft plans open at this time. One of which is showing the house from the outside, and then a finished version of the kitchen on the inside. And basically, what I'm going to take you through is overall how this kitchen came together, the tools that you can use to lay something out, and hopefully you'll pick up some tips and tricks along the way that will help you with your own designs as well. So on the left hand side, I'm just going to maximize the screen at this stage as we move towards the kitchen itself. You can see obviously we're going to be diving into the various different things you can do with cabinets within the plan. We'll be designing an island with legs on it there. We'll have different appliances and so on that are going to be put into place. We'll talk about interior tools such as setting it up for different wall finishes, crown moldings, baseboards, and floorings, okay, and lighting. And so all of that we will cover off in the next 45 minutes to an hour. I am recording the class so that we'll be able to upload this to our YouTube page, and you'll be able to go back and review it yourself, in your own time frame. And so, with that said, we're going to get ourselves started. So I'm going to open up the soft plan here, and you can see at this stage we've got the house. And as I pan around, it's basically a. This is actually taken from my own library of designs, and so this one here is a little bit of a take on a modern farmhouse. And as we zoom into the plan and we come in, you can see I've stripped out the detail in this copied version. Right now, there are certain things I've left. Obviously, I left the furniture as it pertains to the dining room and the living room. But this is the area that we're going to be working with back here in the back, center section of the house. And as I open up the main floor plan and we zoom in, this will be the area that we're going to design the kitchen in. Okay, and so with that, basically becoming the central focus of the plan, we can begin to do the actual layout. Now, in today's class, obviously, I know the direction I'm going. And so it's more about how to use the tools than it is sometimes during the design phase. You may try and put a 24-inch in, then you change it to a 21-inch and so on. So my design will probably come together a little bit quicker just because I know what cabinets I want to put where in the plan. But that doesn't take away from some of the tools that you'll be able to pick up on here to start. As I zoom into this back area right here, which is where we'll start, we're going to, begin by placing in, cabinets. We want to have a dishwasher back here, a sink that overlooks the backyard. We'll have some floating shelves, etc. And then down the right-hand side, this is where, if you recall from that design a minute ago, we'll place the gas range, the refrigerator, a double oven, and we'll set an island in there. This wall that you see right here, okay, actually doesn't close off the room. As I'm editing this, you'll see I have it offset up actually 12 feet into the air. And when you're taking a look at it inside 3D, okay, it's actually building up the vaulted ceiling, from the family room. And as we're looking at this is kind of the view that we're going to have from the kitchen looking towards the finished family room. And then I have a kitchen that's being, out in the backyard area there. All right. So just to give you a bit of a feel for, the direction that we're going. So jumping back into the main floor plan, and I will be going back and forth a little bit, and at some point I may even split the screen so you can see both the 3D and the 2D. But let's just start by going into draw and selecting cabinet. Now, when I open up that list of library items that's there, you can see all of the options for drawing cabinets and whether they are base or upper cabinets, okay, tall cabinets if you're going with a pantry, etc., and even manufacturers. And we'll deal with the manufacturer in just a minute, but if I click on the base, this will take me into basically the generic, cabinets that are there. Most of these have the standard sizes that you're going to run into, whether you need 36 or 24-inch and so on. And then as you're working down, you can get into what the layout face is going to look like and even what the style is going to be. So if I were to click on the style, for example, you can see that we've got the, arc panel versus the arc raised panel versus, as I move down to where I'm going to be using the standard flat panel for what we're doing. And when I pick the style, this is also where I can then go in and I can select from all of the different face plates that are already assembled in there. You'll have the ability to go in and customize your own as well. And we've even, if you click on the little plus sign next to standard, you can go in and find specialty cabinets. So if you're using something like this, perhaps for a bathroom vanity, right, with the two drawers and the door, it's already assembled in there, and you just need to go and find said cabinet. Now, for what I'm doing, I'm actually looking to have something that I can place a sink in. So this would set us up with the two doors and kind of the sink panel that's going to be here. And as I click on OK on that, I can select the size with which the cabinet that I want to place. So with the 36-inch selected, the face layout and the style all already selected, I would actually leave this configure cabinet dialog open. You don't want to click OK because typically you're drawing multiple cabinets in a row. And so with this selected, and I'm going to click the F11 function key on my keyboard to get my snap feature in. That's going to allow me to snap this to the center of that wall. And I know already the window is centered there because I have it placed in there. And so it drops the cabinet in place. With this dialog open, I can now return and pick up what it is the next cabinet that I want to draw. So here I could select maybe the with the two drawers. Do I want just the door cabinet panels there? And as I select that, I can then draw it into place. So let's say that we're going to go in this case here, maybe with the double little drawers right there. I'll click OK. The 24 inches selected, and I simply position my cursor. I really don't need the snap feature on anymore, so I've turned it off, and I just need to be close as I'm clicking it. I pick the wall, I move it towards the front of the cabinet, and as I do that, you can see the cabinet faces actually snap to one another. Again, I'm at the advantage of knowing the design, right? So I can go in here and I can, draw these cabinets out at any time, and I'll cancel this. I can come in through the dimension, and I can dimension point between objects just to see, what my space is going to be, on that. So there, we can see, based on picking from cabinet to wall, right, how much space we have left. And that would allow me to say, okay, we have a 1/2 inch drywall. We're also going to want to go in there and maybe place a filler on either side, just to fill it out. And so I'll take the dimensions out, and then returning to draw cabinet, going back to the base option here, I could then select, let's say, to pick the full doors. And with that set at 24 inches, I will simply click to insert one and click to insert the other. Still in the base cabinet, I'm going to change it from rectangular to, let's say, fill. Now, this is just a filler we're going to put in here, and I can, specify that I want this to be give or take, let's say, 2 inches in width, the depth, and so on. It's going to be placed with a countertop, and then I can click to drop that cabinet in there. If it asks me to fill the space, it means it's going to automatically set that dimension up for me if it's too large or too small. I actually know it works already, and so I'm just going to click OK, and then, run what's called a cleanup and a save to get everything joined together. As I come back into the 3D, we see our cabinets placed there. Okay. So at this stage now, we can kind of jump in and we can begin to manipulate and play around with the cabinets and what we want to do with them. And so I'm going to zoom this up at this stage. Okay. So there's my 36-inch cabinet. In time, what's going to happen is this will have the sink with a faucet. And then I'm going to place a dishwasher here. And then I'm going to place a wine refrigerator on the far side, because that will give me access going out to the porch for, something like that to store the drinks and so on, right? And so here I'm just going to right click, edit the central cabinet. And so we're basically editing this cabinet when we click it, although we can go in and modify the entire cabinet run. Now, when you're modifying this is where you can go in and you can pick your finishes. We'll eventually land on the paint white, but you could select the painted gray, and under the cabinet run, you can see it's actually modifying or changing all of those collectively, right? You could again change what the style is of the cabinet. I'm okay with the flat panel. Okay, and then you can even go in and change what as far as the assembly is concerned. Right here, I modified it to a butt frame versus a frameless, which is what I had a minute ago, and the other options that are there. Okay, so again, just simply editing, and this is important because we'll use these elevations, or sorry, these cabinet layouts to generate interior elevations in time. And so when I've done, this information right here, that affects the entire cabinet run. I can specify the base cabinet only, which then drills down to the cabinet that I began the edit on. And when I do this, here you can see I can add symbols to the option. Now, in the case of a bathroom, that's where the mirror would come in, where you could place a mirror over top. As is pertaining to the kitchen, we can come in here and we can select sink. Okay. And then as I am doing a quick search for sinks, if I type this in, the overall option for this, I can then scroll through all of all of the sinks, or any symbol that has been labeled with a sink, okay, and I can select from that list. I could also just simply go to a manufacturer specific library and then look at only their sinks specific, to my search, option that I did in the lower left corner there. And so here I'm just scrolling through, and in time, of course, you learn, where items are, and in drawing classes I teach you how to sort libraries and so on. But here I'll grab this apron sink and drop it into place. Okay, I can then go to the tap option, and once again I'm just going to do a quick search for faucet. And then as I do that, I could select from the list. This is all 305 items associated with faucets. I'll just simply pick one from that screen and then select OK, and the faucet is dropped in. Now, as I look at this in the main floor plan, these will be centered, and so I'm using a simple move function to move this farm sink forward so that it basically is, overhanging onto the front of the cabinet itself. Okay, so that's going in and inserting, specific items. Additionally, I could just simply edit a specific cabinet. So we'll get the one to the right here, okay? And on the base cabinet option, I could go in and replace the cabinet. Now, when I do the replace cabinet, I'm just simply going to type in, let's say, dishwasher, okay, or at least the first few letters of it. And you can see that at this stage, it drills down and it begins to find items that have the dish W, as part of their label, or tag on them. And so here I could, pick a dishwasher, or if I know the manufacturer that I'm going to use, I could also, drill down to look for that until I find, the symbol that I want. So in this case, let's say General Electric under the cafe, and I click OK. And what SoftLens is going to do is it's going to replace the cabinet with the symbol. Okay, so the box is still there, but now we get the dishwasher in place being inserted in there. Okay, so that's, in a nutshell, real quick. So over here, the same thing. I'm going to edit this, and using the same base cabinet tab, and I pick the replace cabinet, I can come in here and I'm actually going to type in, let's say, wine. Okay, because I'm looking for a wine, refrigerator to drop in there. And so I'm going to randomly pick one at this stage. Okay, and I click the OK. The dimensions are listed, and so it also replaces it in there. Okay. And so that, as I pull this back, shows me what we have so far. And I can always, on the fly, like I did a minute ago, go back into this, and let's just change these to painted white, and it will collectively change them across, the entire plane right there. Now I'm going to go ahead and add a few cabinets along this wall over here, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about things like hardware and so on as far as the cabinet's concerned. So I'm going to pull this out, and just kind of get ourselves zoomed in here a little bit. Okay, and so inside the main floor plan, as I'm, zooming this up, I'm going to come in through draw cabinets, and this time I'm going to click on manufacturer. Now, when I click on the manufacturer, you can see that we have a list of manufacturers that are in there, including, those of you in the soft plan plus, which I think all of you are, right? We update with more advanced, type symbols and library items that are in there. I'm looking to just simply place a single oven down here in the lower right hand corner. And so from this, I'm just going to pick the product code for that oven symbol. I'm actually dragging this off to the side for just a second. Click to start and click to place it in the direction it's going to go, and it drops it in. Now then, if I click OK, I could go in and take a look at it inside the 3D. Okay, and there it is, and you can begin to see already the shadows and so on. It didn't do as much favor over here, but it's really not helping to see. And this is where I want to talk a little bit about lighting. As we begin to design the kitchen, lighting is going to become, very, very important, to being able to see things, to showcase it properly, etc. And so even before I draw any more cabinets in here, I'm going to come in and change from the drawing mode into electrical. Now you will see most of this plan has the electrical already laid out. I of course stripped it all out of the kitchen for right now because I wanted to show you, adding it in and how it affects the plan. So if I were to come into electrical symbols and under ceiling lights, okay, we have all of the options that are there, and here I'll just simply pick a canned light, and I'm just going to, position to draw one in, and just adding that single light and taking a look inside the 3D, you can see it lights the entire, cabinet or and corner up. Okay, now as you add light sources into the model, if I were to edit this light, okay, you can see it basically, as far as its elevation is concerned, it snaps to the ceiling. And if you were to click on the light tab, you'll see that it's, yes, it's on, but you can then go in and customize the brightness, okay, including the lumens, okay, for the individual light source. So if you begin to modify, or you're, working with the 3D and you're getting hot spots, so to speak, you may want to turn down the lumens on the actual individual electrical symbols. You can change how far the light source, shoots its light out or spreads it out, so to speak, the decay, and even the directions that it go in. You can even get fancy if you want and play around with adding colors and so on. If you want to go with a softer, not the bright white, but maybe a softer yellow, color or hue coming off. So all of those can be done with the light. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, for the sake of what we're doing within our 3D, I'm going to copy this over, and I'm just, some of this I'm going to do by eye. Okay. um and it's just a matter of, time wise, I can dimension these into place for sure, but I'm going to copy, if you will. I'll take this all the way down to here, and then I'm just going to say to have equally placed lighting. Okay, and I'll just place, six can lights in there to start. Now eventually I'll also place some others, in there, but you can see at this stage it begins to brighten this area up, allowing us to, as we're designing and drawing, to see things a little bit more clear. Okay, so coming back into the main floor plan and changing back into drawing mode, I can now add in the rest of my electrical. So I'm going to come in through my draw cabinet library, okay, and pick on my base. And at this stage here, I can now just begin to modify, what I want to draw. So I will, click on the face panel right here, and I'm just taking a look at it, and I'm going to pick this one, which has got the two doors and the drawer, right? And I'll click OK on that. And so I'm drawing a 30-inch cabinet beside the oven door. And then I can return here and select, let's say, the 27-inch, and I'm going to click, and I'm going to add in drawers only. So by leaving the dialog open, I can change that on the fly. Now, as I said, there's going to be, somewhat where I know the design, right? So I certainly didn't just, in time place all of these cabinets in right on the first shot. But for what I'm doing, I'm going to come in here and select, let's say, a 9-inch, cabinet that's going to be placed there, and I just want a single door. And this was really just at this stage to represent like a pull-out spice cabinet. Okay, is what we're placing in there. Okay, and so then, whether I want to place a cabinet in as a placeholder, or I can go into the draw symbol and, staying inside the General Electric, let's say, and I'm just going to click on the monogram. I could, scroll through and find, what is the, gas grill that I want to use, right? And so here I would zoom this up, and SoftPlan's bump, technology, so to speak, will bump that up to where the cabinet is already placed. And so you can see this is what we have so far. Again, I'll place an oven in there in just a minute. And so coming back into the main floor plan, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick miscellaneous and explode and simply click on this run of cabinets. Now it's going to break the cabinets into individual pieces. And so now I could just using the draw select, click this cabinet and place it on the other side. Click the 27-inch cabinet, place it on the other side, and then the 30-inch cabinet to place it. So we're basically just running all the way down, placing these cabinets as we, see fit in there. Okay. Um, and again, I can always explode these. If you were to change this, so if I were to come in and just say, let's just make that a little bit narrower, let's just say 6 inches. Okay, so you can see the gap. Well, this is where your cleanup feature is going to snap these cabinets together. Okay, so that they're all one unit, and then I could actually move this, down so that it's up against that, and the same thing. I could edit this on the fly, change its size as well. Okay. And then the cleanup feature will again snap them together. All right. So the cabinets are smart like that, and they will, work, in tandem like that. Okay. Another thing that I will often do inside my design, even at this stage, is as I'm building cabinets, okay, I'm going to come in and I'm going to select the model option and interior elevation. And I'm going to position my cursor like this and move it towards the run of cabinets. You'll see I get an elevation marker that's labeled 1, and then this runs all the way through. And if I come over here and to the navigation menu, I can double click on that, and I can actually review what the elevation model is going to look like for this plan. And so it's just going to go through and regenerate that for me, okay, so that we can see what this elevation looks like, and then we can do, some modifications if we wanted to from there. All right. And so there is my kitchen to date. So what I want to do is I want to come in here and build a surround, which is going to have a refrigerator in there. It's going to have panels on either side, an upper cabinet. We'll place some upper cabinets across here and so on. All right. So as I come back into my main floor plan, all right, the first thing I'm probably going to do is I'm going to come in and pick draw symbol, and we're dealing inside the this listing right here. So I'm going to pick this counter depth, French, door or drawer, a refrigerator, and I'll click to add it into the model. Okay. And I'm going to move it a couple of inches off of this because I want to actually place a panel to get this framed in. So using the draw cabinet, I'll come in through the tall option. Remember, I added the filler, back when I was doing this up here. Well, this is the same thing. I'm just going to come in and click fill, and I'm going to type in that I want this to be 2 inches and the depth to be 24 inches. And then I can key in whatever the height is going to be for that filler or that panel. Okay. And so once I've done this, I can, zoom in, and I'm just going to click to draw one, and I'll say, no, I'm going to place it where I want it. And I'm going to place another one over here. And as I look at this inside 3D, you can see this is what we're doing. Okay. And so now what I can do is I can go in and I can, specify, that I want to place an upper cabinet above that. And you can always dimension if you know exactly what your dimensions are. Okay, so selecting the dimension function, turn your symbol on, it will allow you to dimension exactly between these. The refrigerator is, 36 inches. If you want this 38 inches just to have a little bit of room, and then you can move that, inside, between the two panels. Okay, if you want this to be exactly 36 inches on the plan, then you just go ahead and key that in, and specify it, and then move this to fit, in between the the panels. Okay, you can draw inside the interior elevation as well. So you have the option of going in here through draw and selecting cabinet. And in this case here, I can select the wall cabinet. All right. Now I do know that this is going to be 36 inches in width, right? Because that's what my space is going to be between there. I'm going to make it 24 inches in depth. So it's the full depth of the refrigerator. The only thing left then is what is the offset, the position from the floor to the underside. Okay. And so I could key in what that dimension is going to be. Right. And then, lastly, I would probably, need to dimension what the height is going to be in there to go along with that offset of 72 inches. And so I could just, click and place that in there and it drops it in. So all of this, when I edit it, you can see is based on the numbers that I placed on there. Okay. So something that can be done from within the elevation if that's where you want to draw this from. Okay. So certainly, can be done. And so carrying on from this, then I can either draw in the elevation view or I can draw in the plan view and have it update as we go. So as I'm doing this, I'm going to break this into a new vertical tab group. So what you're going to see, I just did a right click and pick new vertical tab group, and it's actually opening up, if you will, on the right hand side, my three-dimensional model to go with my floor plan over here. Okay. And so at this stage now, I can go in and I can specify exactly what I want for my cabinets themselves. So the benefit to this class is keep in mind that I'm going to have it recorded. And so for those of you who something maybe went a little bit quickly and you need to review it, you'll be able to go back and play this video back from our YouTube site, and you'll be able to review it there at your own speed. So I will be continuing to move forward only because I want to try and cover everything that I have on my agenda today, just to give you as big an overview as possible. If I come back into this listing of cabinets right here, okay, I can select the, let's say, 30-inch cabinet to place over top of this. The 12-inch depth is going to be, just fine, okay? And then I can specify what is the height going to be. So if I modify this to be 42 inches and I give it a 54-inch height, that means the top height is going to be 96 inches, which will match this as well as the refrigerator. Okay, so I'm just going to, position my cursor where I want to place it, and I'm going to, with my F11 snap feature on, I can place it, there. Now, in this case, I'm going to also do the same thing down here, and I'm going to place one, whoops, right there. And if, as you're placing, like I did, I made a quick, mistake, I can just simply hit the undo key to move it. Now, this cabinet, I'm going to actually move it because it actually snapped, inside the, to the refrigerator. And when I'm moving it, I'm going to turn the attach feature off. So I'm only moving the upper cabinet into place. And so just, and then I can edit this cabinet and I can, make any changes or modifications to it, that I see fit, including in this case, because I'm overriding its default where it was placed. I'm going to take it out of the cleanup. So it's no longer doing that on me. Okay. And so the same thing, I'm going to come back to my cabinet and my wall cabinet that's here. This time, I'm actually going to pick, let's say, a 21, and on the layout, okay, I'm going to pick that I want a glass grill door. All right, so I'll, just to change it up a little bit, right? The same thing, 12-inch depth. The height will change to 42 inches. The offset will change to 54. So all of that, suits. And then we'll just simply click to snap it to that cabinet and click to snap it to that cabinet. And we see that we have them there. And if we review it in the elevation, we have those cabinets, set there. Now these cabinets can be modified, and that's what we're about to do here just a little bit. Okay, whether we do it in the 3D or whether we do it inside the floor plan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom this up real quick. So we're taking a look at these upper cabinets. So on an individual basis, I can edit this cabinet here and I can go to the face and I can reverse it. Now that's just going to change the door handle that you see over there. So that would, I could, in any case, I could, reverse, door handles, whether they're upper or whether they're lower. You just simply edit it. You go to the face option or tab on that, and you can select the reverse and flip the handle. Now, when it comes to things like hardware that's being used, I can come in here through edit on this cabinet run. Okay. And as I do that, all right, I can go to things like accessories. Here, I could click on what the hardware is that's in use. And right now, you see it's just a little handle that's there. So I'm going to click on the SoftPlan Plus and go down to this manufacturer. And from this list of hardware that's here, I'm going to pick, what the hardware is that we're going to use on the upper cabinets. Okay. And while I'm here, I'm also going to modify this to have crown molding. And I'll simply just accept the default of the American style, and it's going to place that on, my cabinets that are there. And so I'll click OK and then simply right click and repeat edit to the other cabinets, okay, in the run that's going on here. And so then I'll just simply move this over to the right, and I'll do the same thing. I'll just right click, repeat edit, and that repeat edit is going to apply all of those changes to the cabinets, okay, as I select them in their continuous run. So the hardware, as well as the crown mold that's going on, there. Now down on the bottom, just to recap, I could edit this because I want to make a couple of changes here. First thing I want to do is I want to come into the accessories, and we're going to do the same thing with the hardware, but we're going to add one additional item, which is to say we'll pick this option here, but then we'll say we want it different for drawers. And as we drill down just a little bit, let's add this cup plate for any of the drawers that are going to be used on there, and you can see what that is going to look like. Okay, and then I can just simply repeat edit to my cabinets. Now I had exploded my cabinets, and when you do that, each one is treated as an individual basis. And so if they're, as opposed to a complete continuous run, all right, but that same change will take place all the way across, and I just changed it here because initially it didn't have the different ones for drawers versus doors when I did the repeat edit using the upper cabinets. Okay. And so I'll zoom this up. This is where we're at so far. It's coming along. Okay, so let's just zoom this up here and add a single oven in there. So again, we'll come in, and I'm just going to go back to my library here. So I'm in the General Electric, just kind of sticking with what we've been doing, and I'm just going to look for a 30-inch, let's say, single oven. Okay, as my choice. Really, just looking for a style that matches for what we've already got in there. And once I've done that, I'll just position my cursor to place it on the drawing. Here, you can, once it's been placed, I can then select the move, pick the cabinet itself, or pick the symbol itself, and then I'll just pick the oven and move it up into place, right? And so here I'll just set it up in motion for where it's going to be. Okay, and so that sets that up there. All right. So far, so good. So to go along with this, we're going to add some. We're going to add an island across the front here, and then we will add the floating shelves, and we'll add some interiors. Okay, which will include flooring and such. Right. So over here in the plan view, all right, I'm going to come in, and I'm just simply going to pick a draw cabinet from the top, and this is where I'm going to pick my base, and I'll pick a 36-inch. And once again, we'll just open this up, and we can take a look at maybe the B36D with the drawer panel that's going to be on there, and I will click to add one in. Okay, so it drops it in there, and I'm just going to add a few of these all the way across the front, something like so. Okay, and then what I can do is I could even change on the fly at the very end if I want to just have a drawer or single door, something like so. Okay, using the dimension feature. Okay, so coming in through dimension, symbol dimension must be enabled in the status bar. That will allow me to dimension between the cabinets. Okay, and would also allow me to dimension between the wall and the pantry wall down here. So I can then edit this and move this group collectively. So if we wanted 48 inches to have a pretty wide, walkway there, we could just specify that. If we determine we want that to be 42 inches, then we do the same thing. And the same thing down here. I could edit this and just make it 5 feet and move the cabinets collectively. And you see what we have here, on this side. Now, Once this has been placed, this can be edited in the same way. And so if I were to zoom this around just real briefly, right, you can see the hardware would all need to be changed, and as would the, maybe even the finish and so on. So I'm going to edit this, and on the face, just do the same changes that I did a second ago. So first of all, I'm going to reverse this door right here. Okay. Then I'm going to go to the accessories, and I'm going to open up the handle hardware and just quickly update this to be the same as what we've been doing, elsewhere. Okay. And I'll do it different for drawer to have the same change applied there. Okay. And then under the cabinet run, as we talked about earlier, let's just change this to a painted gray option, running across, the section here. And as I click that and click OK, all right, and I'll zoom this around. Okay, so we now have this, being set gray. Now you can edit individual cabinets if you would like, and you could set them up on a single base cabinet to be a peninsula, which would in this case then, add the same face that you have on the other side, okay, to this side here. All right. The other thing that you could do is you could also just add narrow or shallow cabinets across the back, making this a little bit deeper and putting drawer panels on there as well. Okay. Additionally, on the end plates, I could edit something like this. So this entire cabinet run has, this would be the front. So there'd be a right and a left side. And here I could add right and left panels to this cabinet run so that they're actually, a little more finished than what we have, as far as the plan is concerned. I can edit this cabinet run here, and I can give it legs. I could also go in and I can specify on the countertop to actually have an overhang. So here on the rear side, we might type in a 12-inch overhang, and you see that it specifies it there. And then as I, pop this up and take a look, you see what my cabinet run is going to look like, right? Now, if I'm just looking to place some legs in here, I'll actually sometimes just do this through, actual post cabinet. Right, okay. So here I'll just simply pick this colonial post, all right, which is different than editing the cabinet to have a post there. And once I've edited this, I can go in and specify the dimension on this to, let's say, 4 inches. It maintains a dimension, and we really only want this to have a height of 34.5 inches to hold or to support, this cabinet run, right? And so now I could simply copy this all the way down, something like so. Okay, obviously I'm doing a little bit of this by eye, but you could, match that up with the cabinet, there, and do the same thing here if necessary. Okay, and that's where my projection snap, comes in to show me that. All right. In addition, I might want to add a sink in here, just a little, prep sink, right? And this could be just done. You don't even need to always use the uh, custom, symbols that are in there. Inside the plumbing, symbols, here, there's a small sink. This will do for what I'm trying to do. And so I'm just going to come in and click to add that in there. And if I do an explode on this, I can see where it is, and I can, center it inside that cabinet. There it is showing up on the island. All right. So that's just in a really quick nutshell. We've managed to get all of this in there. Now, SoftPlan does allow you to import custom symbols. Okay, so a lot of times, sometimes you're looking for something, and they can be found on in the 3D warehouse and so on. I teach it in my 3D class, etc. Okay, so as I do a search for hood, okay, there may be a few hoods that I've got here you don't have. I've just imported these from within or from external sources and input them in there. But we also do ship with a whole host of different library items there, right? So I could just come in and add one of our custom or product codes that we already have in there, to the kitchen, so that we're not necessarily using a custom one, like I had on the original drawing. And it drops it in there. This hood right here, if you were to edit this, also has a light which would allow you to go in and specify what that's going to look like. All right, so that's where we are already. Let's talk a little bit about interiors to bring this up, to get rid of the whitewash that's, that's kind of happening there. It might be nice to add like a dark flooring and so on. So as I'm looking at the main floor plan, I can change into interior mode. Now, when you're drawing within interior mode, excuse me, in room mode, let me change into room mode first. When you're drawing inside room mode, you basically pick on draw room, right? You can pick the room itself, and then when you click, it shades it in. And that symbol, if you were to edit that symbol, okay, in this case, the master, suite that I've got here, it's going to have a wall covering, it's going to have a baseboard assignment. It's going to have a chair rail if I wanted that to be, on there, and so on, right? And in this case here, the flooring could be added as well. If you're when you're dealing with open areas like what I'm dealing with right here, okay, I may want to, rather than having flooring placed in the master bedroom, then separately in the hallway, and then separately in the kitchen, in which case I may wind up with flooring running in different directions. I may want to add that flooring in through interior mode. And so in this case here, that's what I'm going to do, whereby I come in through draw flooring. I pick the hardwood, okay, and now I can just simply trace where I want that hardwood to be placed. And so you can see at this stage here, I'm just tracing around all of the rooms, okay, at this point that I would like the hardwood to be placed in, which includes, things like the pantry, the front foyer, bedrooms, hallways, etc. Okay. And as I do that, and I'll say yes to this option, okay, it's going to add flooring in on the model. All right, so as I pull this back, we get away from having the, if you will, the you know, just showing the plywood, and we actually are showing the flooring. Now, this can be modified and you can change it to anything you want. For some of you, everybody's going light at this stage, so I can always do a surface edit on this and I can change it to something else altogether. Okay. And it's just going to update on the fly for me there. It's all in what your defaults are going to be at this point. And so here I've got, I've just picked a different one that's in there. Now, some of you may notice my 3Ds look, especially just out of the box, look, really good. This comes down to video card. Okay. All right. So in this case here, basically what happens is inside my 3D, if I were to go to options and I were to go into the setup, the mode options, excuse me, I'm using DirectX 12. And the DirectX 12 is basically allows for the shadows, it allows for the reflections, it allows for the high and feedback as I'm modifying and making changes to the model. Okay, that quickly. The DirectX 11, which some of your cards may be where they're at, which would be an older card at this stage, you don't get that same instant, regeneration, on the model itself. Now, someone did ask real quick, is my flooring running through the walls with what I just did there? The answer is yes. I just simply trace it in really quickly for the sake of this. You certainly could put it in on a room by room basis, in which case you would then stop and start on the walls. I'm sure you can appreciate in a 45-minute class, we're just going as quickly as we can. Okay. Now I can also, inside the interior mode or inside room mode, I could come in here and I could just auto trace things like baseboard. Okay. And you can see it adds the baseboard there. Okay. And as I add it to any of the rooms, if there is one already like this, I can say no because I don't want it to show up. I could do the same thing for wall coverings. You can come in the 3D or inside the floor plan, and you can select wall covering. I could pick paint number one, and I can auto trace just to simply have that added to the drawing, which could then be painted, a specific color. So if I do a surface edit on this, I can go into Sherwin-Williams and I can select that color. Now, if I were to come in for just a second and take that paint off, and the reason I say that is I want to do paint in some areas and wall tile in other areas. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom this area up right here. I'm going to come in through wall covering, okay, on the back wall where the sink is, where the sink's going to be here, and I'm just going to pick, let's say, either ceramic or stone tile. I'm just picking a wall covering at this point. I'm going to pick manual trace, And I'm going to zoom this up, and I'm actually just going to trace where the cabinets are running at this stage and then finish here and then right click. Inside 3D, I'm going to zoom this up, and you can see I actually have tile, where I, started and stopped. So if I only wanted it on the back wall, for example, because that I'm not real happy with how that finishes there, right? I could come in through wall covering, stone tile, and I'm just going to run it across the back wall, mainly because I'm looking to just have, this area protected here with the water and so on. When I do a surface edit on that material, I'm already set up because this was a model I'd created once before. I'm in the MOSA tile, right, which is a SoftPlan Plus, and I can pick from the various, tile libraries that are there. So if we wanted to go with a blue, texture rather than the gray and white, right, you just go through and you pick the texture that you want to use. Okay. When I hit cancel, it takes me back to more of that subway tile, right? Same thing, if we're just looking to tile behind the cabinets, I could edit the cabinet run, okay? And in this case here, right, on the cabinet run itself, I can then go in and I can apply to have the tile running back behind it. So I go to the tile backsplash, I'm going to select this as being stone tile one, which would match this over here. So there it is. Okay. And then I could just simply repeat edit that same change to the other cabinets, running across, the back side over here and then on, these cabinets as well. Okay. In the case of where and this is getting a little bit washed out. So I'm going to actually edit this, option right here, which is the, range hood, and I'm going to go into the light and actually just turn the lumions down. Okay, so that it's not quite as bright and shows a little bit better for what we're doing. Okay, so now that would, that's how I can do this, and I could also edit these individual cabinets here, and I could specify, what their, as far as their size is concerned and so on. But let me zoom this up real quick, and I'm going to, just clean all of this up, so they're all running as one unit because I'd exploded them earlier. And so you can see it building the model with the cabinets all unified together here. Just a second. And then I can go in and I can also, add in things like if I wanted the, through the interior mode to draw that backsplash on there. So it goes, floor to ceiling at different heights. Okay. And so what I'm going to do is inside the interior mode, okay, I'm once again up here, just going to come in through the wall covering, stone tile, and I'm just going to, draw it all the way across, from, tall cabinet to tall cabinet. And so that places it in there, on the back side. Okay. So this is what we have, so far. Laying out, I'm going to place a few light fixtures across the front, okay, as we're trying to bring this to a wrap. And so what I will do is I will change into the electrical mode once again. I can, zoom this up. Let's just remove this one light fixture right here. We don't need it because we're going to come in through, this option. And then we're just going to, go down into the manufacturer, soft plan plus, and the seed design, options. And then we can just, scroll through the pendant symbols that are available. Right. And I could pick from any one of these. So, depending on what it is that, I want this to look like, if we're going with something fairly large, I'm going to zoom in and place, one in the middle. Okay, so again, my projection snap would allow me to find that. And then I will just right click and copy, this symbol up to here, let's say. And then I'll do the same thing, copying this down to, here somewhere, something like so. Okay, they're white in color. If I wanted to use a different color on this, I can just do a surface edit, or in my case here, so in the 3D, I could also copy this blue and put that shade over there. So again, just a matter of, coming in through surface copy paste. I'll pick the blue and add it to the same light. Okay, and so I'm just going to also add one more over here. I'll just pick the copy and drop one over top of the sink. Okay, just to break that up. Things like stools and such, right? So that's just furniture that we're going to add in here, to specify that out. So I'll do that inside my drawing mode. And in a lot of cases, this is where you come in through layer, and you may have a furniture layer, right? So what you see, I just turned this on and I can see the furniture. Okay, it's actually being set to fade, right? And when I turn it off, it no longer prints on my construction drawings. So again, entirely up to you, but that's going to be the layer that I'm drawing in. So I can come in here through draw, and I'm just going to do a quick search for stool. All right. And as I do that, okay, all of the various stools come up, for my different options in here. And again, it's up to me what it is that I want to draw for a style, right? But you can go through the individual manufacturers, and you can select them. Okay. In this case here, which is the original model, you can see I put an industrial, type, option that's in there. Okay, so again, it just comes back to design, on there. But I'm going to at this stage, let's just go in and take a look at what we've got, and pick a stool option from here, to place in there. And so I want something that's a little bit shorter, right? Because this is not a full height. Um, so like a bar stool of sorts. And let's see, I could pick this one for right now. It doesn't have a back on it. I realize for some of you, you'd instantly put a back on there, but you can see at this stage, once I placed one, I can then copy, and just place multiple stools, across, the top. Let me do this one more time. I'm just going to move down like this and have multiple copies placed on the back, something like so. Okay. I could even, copy and paste, like I say, if we wanted colors to match and so on, right? But that gets our stools, in there, on the plan. Okay. So that's in a nutshell, drawing some things in there. I'm going to, pull up my other one that I was, that we started the day with. Okay. Which is this one right here. We've got some, obviously taken some time to customize and put some other symbols that are going to be in there, right? This might be something that you want to to generate a 3D model with which they could then do their own walkthroughs and animations, or and so on. Okay, and so to end, what I want to do is I want to come into the 3D model. All right, and you can see here it is. And obviously I got a lot of information up, but as we're looking at this, th- I'll take you through. There's my drawing mode. Inside my I've got my electrical all laid out on this. Okay. Inside the interior and room modes, I've laid out a lot of my detail for that information to be seen. Now when you're looking at this inside the 3D texture at this stage, I'm going to come in through file, and I'm going to go to soft plan publish. Okay, and a new item that a new tool that was released only a few months ago is the soft plan web 3D. Now when I click on that, so I just went to file and publish and softplan web 3D. Here I can actually go in and publish this according to rooms. I'm going to unselect all of them at this stage, but I could certainly go in and I could pick a specific room that would allow them to jump to, or I could, hand pick one or do them all, and I'll select next. Now, I'm also going to, if I wanted to save specific animations, which I'd save for them to YouTube pages, then they could go in and they could, actually inside the web viewer, take those animations to walk through. But I'll take those off for right now and pick next. The soft plan publish web 3D, I'm going to publish it with textures. Okay, and I have the option of listing this publicly at the soft plan web page. Okay, by checking this. For right now, I'll say no, and I'll click on the publish option. And soft plan is now going to go in and publish this model for me. Okay, so that at this stage I'll be able to send them a link that would allow them to then go in and walk through or around the model according to my settings, okay, to view it. And this tool is going to be a game changer, I think, for you. Obviously, you need to take the time inside, soft plan to get the entire model, set up. So if you only want to do exteriors, which is what, a lot of people are doing right now, that is, that's fine. It at least allows them to walk around the outside. This will allow them to go inside and actually take a look at the model as well. And then using the arrow keys, they'll be able to go in and so on. So right now I'm just waiting for this to publish. It's going through. There's a lot of detail, a lot of surfaces in this, so it is taking a moment. But I can tell you that they'll be able to open it on any mobile device that they have, as well as computers, etc. So, and if you publish this multiple times, then you would be able to it'll continue to update. So when you get to this screen here, you can see I can actually copy the link. I can view it in a browser. You can then also paste it, into emails and your social media, etc. So I'm just going to click the view option. Okay, and I'm going to pull this viewer over here to the screen. And so it's now loading this model up for us. Okay, so in just a moment, when the Web 3D finishes, it's now assigning the textures to the model. This is what your client sees. Okay, so here they can now, begin to initiate just using their mouse wheel. I'm zooming in, I'm zooming out. Okay, if I hold down the left mouse key, I can pan around and look at the model. Okay, so there's a lot that you can do, here within, the plan. If I don't take the time to finish a room out, then this room is actually going to show, right, as not being, finished, okay, in the model. And so in this case here, we were focused on the kitchen, and you can see the level of detail that your client's going to be able to see. So we think there's a lot there. I know that I stuffed a lot into the 55 or 56 minutes that we have been, talking. And obviously, there's a lot of other details and information we weren't able to touch on. This is really just a niche opening for that backdrop. This is a custom symbol that was imported into SoftPlan. This is just shelving done using the rod and shelf tool, turning the rod off and editing the dimensions. Everything else, I think we were able to cover off, in our short time together. Thank you very much for taking the time to out of your day to join us for this. As I said, this will be posted to our YouTube webpage next week. And we have 3 more Friday fundamentals coming, which will cover different topics. So feel free to sign up for those. I look forward to seeing you at those classes. Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.